The day my mother passed away marked one of the most excruciating moments in my life. I lost a woman who had guided me through every stage of existence, who had faith in me even during times I couldn't believe in myself, and who guarded me with a fierce love only a mother can possess. As I stood beside her grave, my wife, Jenna, held my hand. Her grip was gentle yet firm. In that moment, I believed she was my anchor in the storm. I truly thought she was grieving alongside me. What I didn't realize then was that Jenna had already begun planning her departure. Just 3 weeks later, I found myself sitting across from my mother's attorney. He passed me a folder and started outlining the estate details. To my astonishment, she had amassed a considerable fortune, real estate, financial investments, and a substantial savings account. I never knew how much she had quietly built. She wasn't one to flaunt wealth. Her lifestyle was modest. She lived in a simple house, drove a decade-old vehicle, and clipped coupons like it was still the 1990s. As I flipped through the financial documents, I felt overwhelmed. I had never been driven by money. I worked in finance, earned a comfortable living, but never felt the need to go beyond what we could reasonably afford. Jenna, however, came from a very different background. She grew up with very little, and used to tell me that my mother and I had given her the first real sense of security she'd ever known. I believed we shared the same priorities: modesty, loyalty, building a future side by side. But everything shifted the moment she learned about the inheritance. Her spending habits changed overnight. Designer handbags began appearing on our shelves. She planned an impromptu getaway to Napa Valley, saying we needed a break to clear our heads. Her smile grew wider, but her affection grew colder. At first, I chalked it up to grief. After all, I had just lost my mother. Maybe she felt helpless and didn't know how to support me. 2 months after the trust funds were transferred, funds my mother had arranged to be automatically directed into a separate account, Jenna handed me divorce papers. It was a Monday morning. I had just poured her usual cup of coffee. She sat across the table, met my gaze, and said flatly, "This isn't working anymore, Alex." I blinked, completely thrown. "What?" "I'm filing for divorce," she said. "You'll begin the papers soon." She took a casual sip of coffee, as though we were discussing the day's weather. "I've already spoken to an attorney," she added. I let out a short laugh, not from humor, but because of how ridiculous it all sounded. "Jenna, are you being serious?" "I'm serious," she replied, "and I want my share. I've earned it." There it was, the real reason. Not love, not grief, not emotional disconnect. Just a claim to something she thought she was owed. No apologies, no expression of sorrow. Just, "I want my share." She believed the inheritance was part of our shared assets. That because we were married, she deserved half of everything my mother had left behind. But my mother, while quiet and unassuming, had been sharp as a blade. I remembered a conversation we had about a year before she passed. We were sitting on her porch, drinking tea, when she said, "Jenna's clever, but don't confuse drive with devotion." I had laughed at the time. "You think she's using me?" I asked. "I think she's surviving," my mom said softly. "That's not love. That's calculation." I brushed it off then, thinking she was just being overly cautious. But she had seen something in Jenna that I hadn't. Unbeknownst to me at the time, my mother had established a trust. The money never landed in my personal account. It was legally separated, overseen by a trustee with clear legal directives. Jenna had no legal access to any of it. It wasn't considered marital property. It was a safeguarded gift, untouchable by anyone else. Jenna had no idea. Until the day she returned from her lawyer's office with a look I'll never forget. Furious, stunned, betrayed. "You knew," she hissed the moment she walked in. "Knew what?" I asked, though I already suspected what had happened. "You knew I wouldn't be entitled to a dime," she snapped. I stood up slowly, heart pounding, but I kept my voice level. I didn't know all the details until everything was finalized. But yes, now I know. "You're a liar," she growled. "You let me believe I had a claim." "I didn't let you believe anything," I said, cutting her off. "You assumed, You saw dollar signs and convinced yourself you'd hit the jackpot. Her expression hardened. So what now? You're just going to toss me aside with nothing. I looked at the woman I once believed I'd grow old with. You're not the same person I married. And no, you're not entitled to what my mother saved over a lifetime. Not after everything. She stormed out that night, slamming the door behind her. The silence she left behind echoed through the house, louder than any argument could have. For the first time in a long while, the home felt honest, even if it was empty. In the weeks that followed, the rest of the truth surfaced. Jenna had been cheating. Her phone messages told the whole story. Romantic rendezvous, hotel stays, conversations with friends where she celebrated her plans. One message stood out from the rest. Once I get the money, I'm done with him. She never really loved me. She loved what I represented. Security, comfort, and then, ultimately, wealth. As heartbreaking as it was, I didn't fall apart. In a strange way, I felt free. My mother's final gift wasn't just a financial legacy. It was protection. Even in death, she had seen the warning signs I refused to acknowledge. She gave me the strength to walk away, not just from a broken marriage, but from the illusion of it. The divorce was finalized quickly. Jenna walked away with what she came in with, which was next to nothing. I kept everything my mother had left me, not just the funds, but the sense of self-respect, clarity, and resilience she had always tried to instill in me. Sometimes people walk away when you're at your lowest. Sometimes they reveal who they truly are when they think they've won. But if you're fortunate, truly fortunate, you have someone like my mother, someone who sees the truth long before you do, and shields you in ways you may not understand until it matters most. I still miss her. I still mourn her absence. But I honor her too, every time I choose peace over resentment, truth over denial, and dignity over compromise. Jenna thought she'd won, but my mother outwitted her. And in the end, I got my life back.